What would you do if your husband of 24 years emptied your bank account, drained your daughter's college fund, and vanished without a word? That's exactly what happened to Jonna Walker, a small-town librarian from Ohio who woke up one Tuesday morning to find her husband, Robert, packing a suitcase without so much as a goodbye, no warning, no explanation. Just cold detachment and one cruel sentence: "I'm doing what I should have done years ago." Moments later, Jeanette's world collapsed when she discovered their joint checking, savings, and even 12-year-old Lily's $85,000 college fund had been wiped clean. Robert had stolen everything for another woman, but just when you think this story is about betrayal, it takes an unforgettable turn that morning as Jonna stared blankly at her laptop screen, heartbroken and numb. Her daughter Lily, barefoot and eating cereal, looked up and said calmly, "Don't worry, Mom, I handled it." Handled what? What Jonna didn't know, what no one could have imagined, is that Lily Walker, barely a teenager, had already uncovered everything. The affair, the stolen funds, even the Florida house Robert and his mistress planned to buy using Lily's identity. And Lily wasn't just watching, she was fighting back. This isn't just a story of loss, it's the rise of a young protector, and what she does next will leave you speechless. Jonna couldn't sleep that night. She sat at the kitchen table, long after Lily had gone to bed, staring at the bank statements on her laptop. The numbers didn't change, no matter how many times she refreshed the page. $85,000 gone. Her daughter's future vanished with the click of a mouse and a single selfish decision. She felt paralyzed, humiliated, after nearly a quarter-century of marriage. She thought she'd known the man sleeping beside her, but Robert hadn't just walked out, he'd stolen the very foundation of their lives. And what hurt most wasn't the betrayal itself, but that he hadn't even looked back. But there was something else gnawing at Jonna. Lily's words kept echoing in her mind, "Don't worry, Mom, I handled it." At first, she dismissed it as a child's attempt to be strong, but there was a tone in Lily's voice that didn't match her year's calm, almost surgical, not the bravado of a confused kid. Something steadier, more intentional. Over the next few days, Jonna started to notice things. Lily's alarm still rang at 6:45 a.m. sharp. She still packed her own lunch, still kissed her mother's cheek before catching the bus. It was like nothing had changed, while Jonna herself felt like she was unraveling. But late at night, after dinner, while the house fell silent, she would hear it, the soft clicking of Lily's keyboard. Sometimes it went on until midnight. Once, Jonna walked past her daughter's room and noticed the door was cracked open. Lily was sitting perfectly upright, staring at her laptop screen. Her face was illuminated in the blue glow. Utterly focused. It didn't look like homework that weekend. While folding laundry, Jonna spotted a single sheet of paper on Lily's desk. She wasn't snooping, not at first, but something about it caught her attention. It was a printed email thread, and when she glanced at the names, her heart dropped. Robert Walker, Tracy Whitman. The emails were dated 2 weeks before Robert left. They talked about hotel reservations, transferring funds, and handling Jonna once everything was finalized. Jonna sat down hard, the basket of clean clothes spilling onto the floor. Moments later, Lily appeared in the doorway, holding an empty cereal bowl. She didn't flinch. "That's where I started," Lily said softly. "His emails. He's not great with passwords." "Lily, how long have you known?" 6 weeks, she replied, walking in. "About the affair, about the money. I figured it out the day before he left." Jonna felt her knees weaken. Her 12-year-old had been carrying this alone, had known, had watched, and somehow had acted. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to be sure, and because I needed to figure out what to do." Lily pulled out a spiral notebook from beneath her mattress and handed it over. Jeanne opened it, expecting doodles or school notes. Instead, she found pages of documentation, screenshots of emails and bank transfers, account numbers, login credentials. Even photos of Robert texting on a second phone he thought no one had seen. Dad reuses passwords. Most people do. And Tracy, she's worse. I got into her client database in 3 clicks. It's amazing what people leave behind when they think no one's watching. Jeanne was stunned not just by what Lily had uncovered, but by how calm she was. Not angry, not vengeful, just matter of fact. Like she was reporting a science project. Honey, this isn't your responsibility. Yes, it is, Lily said firmly, looking her mother dead in the eye. He stole my future. He lied to both of us. Someone had to do something. For a long time, Jeanne said nothing. The woman who had spent her life trying to protect her child now realized her child had protected her and maybe had saved them. Both. What are you planning to do with all this? She asked finally. Lily didn't answer at first. She took the notebook back gently, like it was something sacred. Don't worry, she said again. I've got it handled, and this time. Jeanne believed her. Jeanne had always believed in consequences. That if you worked hard, told the truth, and stayed loyal, life would reward you in kind. But in a matter of days, those beliefs had shattered. Her husband had stolen everything, her security, her daughter's future, and any sense of stability she once had, and now she was staring at her daughter's spiral notebook filled with digital footprints, login screenshots, and emails that made her skin crawl, evidence of betrayal, proof of theft. The sheer detail made Jeanne dizzy, but it was nothing compared to what Lily did next. Over the course of the following week, Jeanne watched her daughter orchestrate a silent war. No yelling, no tears. Just code, emails, and strategic moves that would make a Wall Street whistleblower proud. Lily began with Tracy. She works at Anderson & Reed, Lily explained one evening. Handles high net worth accounts. I accessed her firm's system last month. The embezzlement is obvious. Jeanette's heart dropped. Lily, how do you even know what embezzlement looks like? Because she's bad at hiding it. Lily had found fake invoices, inconsistent investment statements, and direct transfers from client accounts to Tracy's personal Venmo and PayPal. The evidence was stacked neatly in a folder titled Tracy_Whitman-theft_proof.zip. What are you going to do with this? Jeanne whispered. I already sent it. Anonymous tip to her compliance officer and the state board. She got suspended yesterday. Her clients are pulling out fast. Jeanne sat back in her chair, stunned. But Lily wasn't finished. Next came the fraudulent mortgage application. Robert had tried to purchase a $230,000 home in Florida, using Lily's name and social security number as part of the loan documentation along with Jeanette's employment information to boost credibility. The loan was pre-approved, Lily said, typing rapidly, but I froze my credit file through all 3 agencies. I also submitted identity theft reports to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. She clicked through screens showing email confirmations, dispute receipts, and status updates. The deal had collapsed 2 days prior. Then, quietly, Lily smiled. Tracy doesn't know yet, Robert either. Jeanne didn't know what shocked her more, that her daughter was able to do all this, or that she'd done it without an ounce of fear. Sweetheart, this is incredible, but it's also serious, dangerous. Lily looked up. More dangerous than letting them destroy our lives. Jeanne didn't have an answer. Later that evening, Lily walked over to the kitchen table with a small stack of documents. This is your divorce paperwork starter kit, she said gently. I researched legal aid firms that can help you file without too many fees. I also printed your credit report. just in case Dad opened anything else in your name. Johnny stared at the stack. Honey, you shouldn't have to do this. You're not ready yet. That's okay. But I am. Those words hit Johnny harder than anything Robert had done. Her daughter wasn't just protecting their finances, she was holding up the entire household. The next morning, Tracy's landlord received an anonymous tip about suspicious financial activity occurring from her apartment. Eviction papers were filed within 48 hours, and then came the final blow. Lily sent a registered letter disguised as a legal inquiry to Dr. Ronald Whitman, Tracy's father and a prominent cardiac surgeon. Inside was a full report of Tracy's financial misdeeds, screenshots, summaries, and bank account links. He values his reputation, Lily said. He'll cut her off. She won't be able to recover. That seems harsh, Johnny whispered. So we're stealing $85,000 from a 12-year-old. And just like that, it was done. Johnny stood at the edge of something she couldn't fully understand. Her daughter had single-handedly destroyed the lives of 2 adults who had tried to rob her blind and had done it with calm, measured precision. But what haunted Johnny wasn't what Lily had done, it was how unshaken she was. There were no screams, no breakdowns, just a strategy, as if Lily had been built for this. What happens now? Johnny asked one evening as they sat in the dimly lit kitchen. Lily sipped her tea and said plainly, "Now we wait. They're cornered. When people panic, they make mistakes." Johnny couldn't sleep that night. She sat in bed, listening to the soft clatter of Lily's keyboard down the hall. And for the first time, she realized something terrifying. She no longer knew who her daughter truly was. The phone rang at 2:15 p.m. on a quiet Tuesday. Johnny was standing at the sink, rinsing lunch dishes, the afternoon sunlight spilling across the countertop. The caller ID flashed, Robert Walker. Her breath caught in her throat. He hadn't called since the morning he left. She wiped her hands and answered. "Hello." His voice was different, shaky, frantic. "Johnny, something's happening. I need to talk to you. It's urgent." Johnny glanced toward the dining room where Lily sat, calmly working on her laptop. She looked as poised as ever, hair in a loose braid, eyes focused, fingers moving swiftly across the keys. "What's going on, Robert?" "My accounts are frozen, all of them. My bank flagged them for suspicious activity. They say there's a pending investigation. And Tracy got fired yesterday. They escorted her out of the office. She's being accused of embezzlement." His voice cracked on the last word. "I think someone's targeting us." Johnny didn't respond. "We don't know who it is," Robert continued. "It has to be someone inside the firm, maybe someone Tracy crossed. I mean, how else could they know so much?" Across the room, Lily closed one tab and opened another. Her screen was filled with streams of data, folder names, and secure platforms. Then, a quiet beep came from the speaker. Johnny raised the phone. "What was that sound?" Robert asked. Lily met her mother's eyes and gave the smallest shake of her head. "What sound?" Johnny replied. "It came from my computer. My inbox just refreshed on its own. My messages are opening and closing. Someone's in my system, right now." Johnny glanced at Lily's screen. She could see her ex-husband's email interface mirrored on the display, each message flipping open like a file under a microscope. Robert's voice dropped to a whisper. "Johnny, did you hire someone? A private investigator, a tech expert?" "No." She said truthfully. "Well, someone is impersonating me. They're sending messages from my accounts. They just emailed my boss. Financial documents, personal texts, they're all being leaked." Lily tapped one final key. Another soft beep echoed from the phone. "There it is again," Robert yelled. "They're in my social media now. They're posting everything, screenshots of my texts with Tracy, the mortgage paperwork, even the emails I sent about you." His panic escalated. "This is illegal." If you're behind this, if anyone connected to you is doing this, you need to stop it. Jeanne, this could ruin me. And then a voice cut through the chaos, calm, clear. Hi, Dad. Lily had taken the phone from her mother and held it to her ear. Robert hesitated. Lily, sweetheart, thank God, listen to me. Someone is trying to make me and Tracy look like criminals. You have to believe me, I would never steal from you. Never. Lily's voice didn't waver. But you did. You drained my college fund. You used my social security number to apply for a mortgage in Florida. You faked documents and signed my name. That's identity theft. A beat of silence. How could you possibly know that? He stammered, because I found out myself. And I have everything, your texts, your emails, the forged papers, the investment accounts. I've been watching you for weeks. You're 12 years old, he said, incredulous. You don't understand how any of this works. I understand consequences, Lily replied. And I understand you tried to walk away from your family and leave us with your debt. I stopped you. His voice dropped, raw and pleading. Lily, please. I made mistakes. I got scared. Tracy's father cut her off. She needed that money to prove herself. We were going to pay it all back, with interest. You call that a loan? She asked, still calm. You used stolen money to impress your girlfriend's father. And now that it's blowing up, you want to act like it was a temporary misunderstanding. He was nearly sobbing. I've lost everything, Lily. My credit's ruined. I can't get a job. I'm living in my car. I can't even rent an apartment. Lily paused. Then she spoke with absolute finality. You taught me something important. Dad, you taught me that the people who are supposed to protect you sometimes don't, so you protect yourself. And then she hung up. The phone was silent. Jeanne stared at her daughter, the kitchen filled with a quiet that was almost holy. Lily placed the phone gently on the counter and turned to her mother. He won't call back, she said. How do you know? Because now he knows I'm watching. She picked up her laptop, slung her backpack over her shoulder, and said calmly, I've got some homework to finish. And just like that, she disappeared down the hallway, leaving behind not a child, but someone reborn through fire and betrayal. Jeanne stood frozen. Her daughter had just dismantled a man's life with the same methodical grace she used to organize her school supplies. And somehow, he deserved every second of it. Jeanne stood in the kitchen long after Lily had gone to her room. The phone sat silently on the counter, just a piece of plastic and glass. Yet it had carried a conversation that would haunt her for the rest of her life. Her 12-year-old daughter had dismantled her father's life with unnerving calm. No anger, no gloating, just cold precision. And perhaps worst of all, Robert had deserved it, but now, in the stillness of the house, Jeanne began to wonder, what had it cost Lily to become this strong? That night, Jeanne couldn't sleep. She lay awake, eyes fixed on the dark ceiling, listening. At exactly 11:48 p.m., it began again, the rhythmic clicking of Lily's keyboard from down the hall. It was soft but steady, like the heartbeat of something mechanical. Jeanne tiptoed toward the room, but stopped just shy of the door. She didn't want to intrude. Didn't want to interrupt, but she also couldn't shake the feeling that her daughter was slipping into a world she no longer recognized. The next morning, Lily appeared in the kitchen, as she always did, dressed neatly, hair pulled back, lunch packed, face calm. Morning, Mom, she said, grabbing a granola bar. I've got a math quiz today, but I'm not worried. She sounded like any other 7th grader. But Jeanne knew better now. Lily, she said gently, catching her hand before she could leave. Are you okay? Really okay? Lily tilted, her head thoughtful. I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? Because of your father. Because of what you did last night. Lily shrugged. I'm not upset. I'm relieved. He knows I know. He knows there are consequences. Jeanne tried to find anything emotional in her daughter's face. A flicker of guilt, of sadness, but there was nothing. Just calm logic. Don't you miss him, even a little? Lily paused at the door, one hand on the knob. I miss the man I thought he was. But that man was a character he played, not who he really is. She left for school like she hadn't just said the most devastating thing a child could say about her father. That afternoon, shaken by the conversation, Jonna called their pediatrician. Dr. Martinez listened carefully and recommended someone named Dr. Patricia Reeves, a child psychologist who specialized in trauma recovery and gifted children. Highly intelligent kids often cope in ways that seem emotionally detached. Dr. Martinez explained, "It doesn't mean something is wrong, but it does mean they may need help reconnecting with what they're feeling." Jonna made the appointment the following week. She drove Lily to the officer calming space painted in soft greens and blues, with children's artwork lining the walls. Lily walked in with perfect composure, as if she were heading into a meeting with the school principal. "Hello, Lily," Dr. Reeves said kindly. "Your mom thought it might be helpful for us to talk." "That's fine," Lily replied. "I assume this is required after what I did to my father." Jonna flinched. Dr. Reeves raised an eyebrow, but didn't respond. Instead, she invited Lily to sit for 45 minutes. Jonna sat in the waiting room, chewing the inside of her cheek, watching the second-hand tick across the wall clock. When the session ended, Dr. Reeves asked to speak with her privately. "Your daughter is extraordinary," the doctor said. "But is she okay?" Jonna asked quickly. "Is what she did normal?" Dr. Reeves hesitated. "Lily is highly intelligent, deeply analytical, and remarkably composed. Some children in her position would crumble. She didn't, she adapted. But that comes at a cost. What kind of cost? She's taken on the role of protector, but she's suppressing everything else: fear, grief, even anger. She's processing like an adult, but she's still a child. And when children don't allow themselves to feel, it can catch up with them later." Jonna nodded slowly, the weight of it pressing down. "She's more than okay," Dr. Reeves added. "But she needs space to be a child again. The question is, are you comfortable with who she's becoming?" That night, Jonna watched Lily working on her laptop again, but this time there was no hacking software, no surveillance tabs. Instead, on the screen was a Word document titled "Digital Safety for Families, Warning Signs and Protection Strategies." "What's this, sweetheart?" Jonna asked. "I'm writing a guide," Lily said, "for kids like me and for adults like you, so no one else has to go through what we did." Jonna felt her throat tighten. Her daughter hadn't just survived betrayal, she was trying to turn it into something good. But deep down, she still wondered, would Lily ever be a child again? Or had life forced her to grow up for good? The weather had started to shift, just like the early signs of spring in the Midwest. Birds returned to the hedgerows, and the chill in the mornings gave way to a gentler breeze. Jonna was beginning to breathe again, but Lily didn't slow down. Every evening after homework, she returned to her desk, laser-focused and steady, but it wasn't surveillance anymore. She wasn't tracking her father or Tracy. That part was done. What she was building now was something bigger. Jonna noticed it one Thursday afternoon when she passed Lily's room. Her daughter was deep in a video call, voice calm, gestures reassuring. "I know it's scary discovering that your mom's been using your college fund," Lily said softly to a girl on the screen, probably 14 or 15. "But I'm going to help you protect what's left and make sure this never happens again." Jonette's breath caught. She stepped back quietly and leaned against the hallway wall, stunned. Her daughter wasn't just healing, she was helping others heal. Later that night, over dinner, Jonna finally asked, "Who was that you were talking to?" Lily didn't hesitate. "Her name's Olivia. She lives in Arizona. Her mom drained her savings account last month to cover gambling debt. Olivia's scared she'll lose everything." So I'm helping her freeze her credit and file a protection order. Jeanne set down her fork. Lily, that's incredible. But how are you finding these families? I'm not, they're finding me. Lily opened her laptop and showed Jeanne her inbox, dozens of messages from teenagers, single parents, grandparents, all looking for help. All sharing heartbreaking stories of trust betrayed by their own family members ever since the Sterling case went public. People have been talking. They don't know it was me, but the way I exposed it gave others the courage to speak up. The Sterling case, of course, it had made headlines nationwide. Tracy Sterling, formerly Whitman, was now facing federal charges, and over a dozen former clients had come forward. The whistleblower's identity remained anonymous, but Jeanne knew the truth. It was Lily. Jeanne stared at the inbox, names from New York, Florida, Michigan, messages from worried fathers, overwhelmed aunts, terrified teenagers, and Lily was answering every single one. I've been helping 3 to 5 families a week, Lily explained. Sometimes I just give them resources. Other times, I walk them through the steps to recover stolen money or protect their identity. And they trust you? Jeanne asked. I sound like an adult online. Lily said simply, I use encrypted email, a secure calendar, and payment services that don't ask for age verification. Wait, payment services. Lily pulled a business card from her desk drawer. E. Patterson Family Financial Protection Consultant, $75. Our virtual services. Online. Janet blinked. You're charging for this? Only from families that can afford it, Lily said. The rest I help for free. She opened a spreadsheet. In just 5 weeks, Lily had earned nearly $4. Zero, enough to replace a chunk of the stolen college fund. Lily, this is a business. It's a mission, she corrected. But yes, it's also sustainable. Jeanne sat in stunned silence. She didn't know whether to be proud or overwhelmed or both. Mom, Lily said, watching her carefully. I'm not doing this for revenge anymore. I'm doing it so no one else has to go through what we did. She paused. Besides, helping them helps me. And somehow, Jeanne understood, after being betrayed by her own father. Lily had found a way to reclaim power by giving it back to others. But what amazed Jeanne most wasn't the technical skill or the income, it was the purpose. Her daughter wasn't angry. She was resolute, focused, and deeply compassionate in a way that didn't look like tears or hugs, it looked like action. That night, Jeanne walked past Lily's room again. The door was cracked open. On the screen was a family of 4, huddled in front of a webcam, thanking Lily through tears. We didn't know where else to turn, the mother said. You've saved us, Lily nodded quietly. You're not alone anymore. Jeanne stepped away, tears filling her eyes. Her daughter had turned pain into power and was giving that power to families across the country. One call, one file, one spreadsheet at a time. In a world full of digital threats, financial scams, and broken trust, Lily wasn't just surviving, she was becoming a lifeline. Jeanne was shelving picture books in the children's section of the Millburg Community Library when her supervisor approached her, looking nervous. Jeanne, there's a reporter at the front desk, asking about your daughter. Jeanne froze. A reporter? She says she's following up on the Rebecca Sterling embezzlement case. Something about an anonymous whistleblower being traced to this town. Jeanette's knees nearly buckled. She walked to the front desk where a woman in a navy blazer stood. Notepad in hand. Mrs. Walker, I'm Jennifer Walsh with Channel 7. We're doing a story on the whistleblower who exposed the Sterling fraud. Your ex-husband was one of the clients, correct? I can't comment, Jeanne said quickly. Sorry. Jennifer gave her a polite smile and left her card behind, just in case you change your mind. That evening, Jeanne told Lily about the encounter. Lily didn't look up from her homework. They won't connect it to me, she said calmly. I used proxies. All my anonymous tips were encrypted. I even paid for the document cloud storage. In cryptocurrency. Jeanne blinked. Her daughter was 13. Lily, aren't you worried? What if they find out? The more press the case gets, the more other families come forward. That's what matters. And she was right. Within weeks, over a dozen victims across the state reported fraud connected to Sterling's office. Investigations expanded, headlines mounted. Lily's digital trail of justice had sparked a fire across the country, and no one knew the hero behind it was a middle schooler with a laptop and a mission. But recognition, even anonymous, has a way of drawing attention. 3 weeks later, Lily received an email that made Jeanette's heart stop. It was from Secure Family, a cybersecurity firm in California. The tone was professional, but the message was staggering. We've been following your anonymous work with great admiration. We'd like to offer you a place in our Youth Development Fellowship. Full scholarship to any college of your choosing. A guaranteed job after graduation, and a starting salary of $120,000 annually. Jeanne read it twice. Lily, this is your future. They're offering you everything. Why wouldn't you take it? Lily sat quietly, staring out the window of their small apartment. Because they want to own what I create, they want me to. Design software that capitalizes on fear paranoia. That's not why I started this. But you could still do good from the inside, help people, not the way they want it. They want my name to boost their image. I want to protect families, not market to them. She stood up and walked to her desk, pulled a small business card from her drawer, handed it to Jeanette E. Patterson, Family Financial Protection Consultant, helping families recover, rebuild, and resist. I already have a job, she said simply. This isn't a hobby anymore. Jeanne asked. Lily smiled. It never was. She opened a spreadsheet showing her current clients, 6 regular families across 4 states, paying her $75 an hour for guidance, education, and recovery. Another column showed over $11,000 saved or recovered for victims of family-based fraud in the past month alone. I'm going to turn this into a non-profit when I turn 18. It'll be free for low-income families. People shouldn't have to pay to be protected from the people who are supposed to care for them. Jeanne stared at her daughter not just as a mother, but now as someone beginning to understand the kind of person Lily was becoming. You're building something bigger than any tech company. I'm building something honest. That night, Jeanne stood at Lily's door, watching as her daughter coached a teenager in Missouri through recovering her bank login. The most important thing, Lily said gently over video call, is to know this isn't your fault. Adults are supposed to protect kids. When they don't, we learn to protect ourselves. The mother in Jeanne wanted to run in and tell Lily to slow down, to be a kid again, to stop carrying the world. But another part of her apart shaped by betrayal, survival, and witnessing her daughter's strength stood still. In awe, Lily had been handed pain and turned it into purpose. She had been robbed of trust and turned it into a mission. She hadn't just walked away from the fire, she built a bridge over it, and she was helping others cross. The first signs of spring had finally arrived in Millburg. The magnolias bloomed behind the library, and the bitter cold that had settled in Jeanette's bones all winter began to ease physically and emotionally. And in that quiet warmth, Jeanne watched her daughter transform not just into a survivor, but into a protector, not of just herself, but of families across the country. Each evening, Jeanne would pass Lily's room and hear her soft, reassuring voice floating through the door. You're not alone, and no, it's not your fault. Lily had become a lifeline for children whose parents had betrayed them. She wasn't just giving them strategies, she was giving them strength. One night, Jeanne paused outside Lily's room and listened. Adults are supposed to protect children, Lily was saying gently. When they don't, we have to protect ourselves. Jeanne stepped back, Heart full and aching all at once, she remembered how helpless she'd felt in those first days after Robert left. She remembered staring at an empty savings account, frozen by fear, and she remembered Lily, 12 years old, looking up from her cereal bowl and saying, "Don't worry, Mom, I handled it," at the time. It had sounded like a child trying to be brave, now. Jeanne knew better. Lily hadn't just handled it. She had saved them, and more than that, she was saving others. By April, Lily had created downloadable resources for families across the country, digital safety checklists, how-to guides for freezing credit, red flag warnings for internal financial abuse. She presented her work via encrypted webinars, offering help to victims who had nowhere else to turn. One Friday evening, as Jeanne was folding laundry, Lily came to her with a laptop in hand. "Can I show you something?" She opened a Word document titled Project Safe Haven, a national non-profit for family financial protection. It was Lily's 5-year plan. A non-profit to offer free support for families dealing with financial betrayal from within. It included everything from staff roles and outreach strategies to legal assistance partnerships. "I want to launch it when I turn 18, Lily said. "That gives me 5 years to build the network and raise the funding," Jeanne blinked back. "Tears, Lily, this is more than a plan. This is a movement." Lily shrugged, her voice quiet. "It started because of what Dad did, but it's become about something bigger. There are so many families like us, Mom, so many kids who feel powerless. I want to give them tools to fight back." Jeanne pulled her daughter into a long hug, finally letting herself feel everything: gratitude, sadness, pride, and something new, hope. A week later, as they washed dishes together, Lily asked a question Jeanne had been dreading and hoping for. "Do you think Dad regrets it?" Jeanne looked down at the soapy plate in her hand. It was the first time Lily had brought up her father in weeks. "I don't know," Jeanne answered honestly. "He posts things about starting over and making better choices, but he never mentions us." Lily dried the plate with precision. "I don't think he understands what he did. Regret is just feeling sorry for yourself, but understanding. That means knowing who you hurt and why it mattered." Jeanne was quiet. "Do you want him to regret it?" Lily paused for a long moment. "No, I want him to understand. But I don't think he's capable of that." She folded the dish towel neatly and hung it on its hook. That conversation marked a shift not just in words, but in spirit. Lily no longer looked backward. She was facing forward now. By May, her consulting business had grown through word of mouth. She was helping families in 14 states, and schools had started reaching out, asking her to speak anonymously to parent groups about digital protection. And each night, she ended her calls the same way: "You're not broken. You were betrayed, but you still have power." Jeanne watched her daughter become the kind of person she wished had been there for her during her darkest days, and she realized something important. Lily wasn't hardened, she was tempered like steel. She hadn't lost her childhood, she had used it, pain and all, to build something stronger. On the morning of her 13th birthday, Lily appeared in the kitchen with her backpack slung over one shoulder and a confident smile on her face. "Ready for school?" Jeanne asked, handing her a cinnamon roll. "Always," Lily said. Then she paused, looked her mother in the eye. "Oh, and Mom, yes, I love you." Jeanne smiled. "I love you too, sweetheart." And as she watched Lily walk to the bus stop, she realized that Robert's betrayal hadn't destroyed their family. It had revealed what they were truly made of. And Lily, she wasn't just their future, she was giving the future to others. In the quiet streets of Millburg, a 13-year-old girl named Lily Walker did what most adults would never dare. She stood up to betrayal, took back her stolen future, and then, turned around to protect strangers she'd never met. What began with a shattered savings account and a father's cruel abandonment became a movement. Lily didn't just expose a crime, she exposed a truth many of us are too afraid to say out loud. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect us don't, but here's the miracle: when love is gone, courage can rise, and when trust is broken, a new kind of strength can be born. Lily's story reminds us that even the smallest voice, when backed by conviction and compassion, can become a lifeline for others. She was only 12 when she faced down deception, but in the process, she became something far more powerful, a guardian of hope. True strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a 13-year-old girl quietly choosing justice over revenge and purpose over pain. And sometimes the heroes we need are already sitting across from us at the breakfast table. If Lily's story moved you, share your thoughts below. Have you ever been betrayed and found your way back to strength? We'd love to hear it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more real-life stories that inspire, and share this with someone who needs to remember how strong they really are. Your story could be next.